Good morning. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday, August 9th, 2022 meeting of the Municipal Authority, City of Fargo. First, we'd like to approve the minutes of the meeting July 26, 2022.
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second. We have a forum.
Yeah, Jim, I can't think Capitan is on there. No, is there?
Do anyway.
Yep, we do.
Everybody can
Yeah.
hear us? All right.
Okay.
All right. Any conversation? None? Go ahead.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Heckman.
Aye.
Capitan.
Yes,
Hingan.
Aye.
Eric Lind, are you on, by the way? Don't see Eric, okay.
Moving on to number 2, approval airport vouchers totaling $170,103.71. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the airport vouchers.
And a second?
Second.
Any conversation about it? None? Call the roll.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Heckman.
Aye.
Capitan. Hingan.
Aye.
Just one thing. Was Sean or John, were you gonna get me the marketing plan for the airport? There was, there was like a Flint marketing and then there was, did we do Clear Channel too? Marketing program here.
Well, I can give you the presentation that Clear Channel gave, the proposal that the board accepted,
Okay.
which they will start to implement next month.
Oh, I
The
love
whole
that.
new thing, and then the Flint plan, yeah, we'll get that.
Thanks. Okay.
Moving on to number 3, approve individual vouchers. A, TF Powers Construction, $20,947.95. B, TF Powers Construction, $12,960. C, TF Powers Construction, $36,270. D, TF Powers Construction, $27,688. E, Volair Aviation, $1,875. F, Sun Electric, $9,466. G, Sun Electric, $5,850. H, Flint Communications, $19,163.64. Can I get a motion for those individual items?
So move.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any communication conversation? None? Call the roll.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Heckman.
Aye.
Capitan.
aye,
Hingan.
Aye. Moving on to number 4, receive June 2022 financial statements.
They were provided to you in the packet and when they were available here a few days ago, so I don't know if you have any questions about June to date. Jim, did you get them?
Any questions about?
No, Mr. Chairman, I just would like to have the our provider there kind of just do a little in-service walkthrough of the financials, so everybody has an understanding of what they're reporting and how it is. When we talk about this, you know, you guys all know what Fund 569 is, but we should label them descriptively. So
Okay.
so we
Did
know
you
what.
get the earlier description I had given in an email, but then
Yeah,
we don't?
yeah.
But we'll see if we can adjust the headers.
And I just have the provider come in and just do a 5 to 10 minute overview for everybody's benefit, so
Okay.
we all understand. Good. And the less we can rely on sort of internal jargon, 569.
Understand.
The better.
Joan and I had sit in our sleep, but.
I know.
You know, cause after 5 years, we'll all get it, that's what I found.
Yeah.
So do you want to do that for the June financials or going forward?
Doesn't matter, we can do it with July when they come out. Those are probably kind of bring.
All right, moving on to number 5, receive change order number 1 from Border States Paving to increase the original bid $395,545.15 for expansion of the East Economy lot. How many spots were we adding again?
Jeff, you're here, why don't you come forward?
160.
160 additional spots, or 160 total.
there's 203, there's about 360 total, 363, give or take.
So the change order of 395,000 specifically is to add 160 parking spots?
Correct. Yeah.
which the board directed them to put the change order together a few meetings ago, so.
Yeah.
And you got this at the last meeting, but it wasn't on the agenda, so we brought it back today for approval.
And so the total spot count again will be for the total spot count for that East County lot and the total price inclusive of both is what?
The total spot count is 363,
Okay,
and the total price is the 1,750,830. Excuse me, 1,750,780.13 plus the 395, 545.50,
okay,
whatever that.
yep. Alright. And as far as construction materials, are they waiting on anything today, from our prior conversation?
Not that I'm aware of. I was told last week that the manholes that we've been waiting on this whole time will be delivered this Friday. I also reached out because you listen to the news and you hear all this concern about cement shortages. Based on what I'm told is Aggregate Industries indicated that there's enough material for this project. If it unfolds that way, remains to be seen, but that's just what I'm thinking.
All right, good. So the total's 2,146,325.28.
So can I remind everyone online, please mute your phones or your computers if you're not speaking or being asked to vote. We're getting a little background noise. Thank you. Any questions about the addition? John? Jim? All or nothing?
So the surface will be concrete?
No, the surface will be a bituminous pavement. So there's also part of this project a secondary access road for the storm removal equipment to access the airfield, which will replace the secondary access on the east side of the terminal road.
Okay, so we'll be losing this access here to the ramp. And they'll be putting one in here right straight through out to the perimeter. This is where that new access will go.
Okay,
Our primary access has been over here. This will give us another access out to the airfield.
Okay.
That'll be concrete.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? None? Can I get a motion to that?
I so move.
A second?
Second.
We have a motion in 2 seconds. Roll call.
Cosgrove?
Aye.
Heckman?
Aye.
Capitan?
Aye.
Hayden?
Aye. Moving on to number 6, receive communication update from the Arts Partnership.
Okay, Dana Del Valle is here. Why don't you come over on this side, Dana? We appreciate you being here.
Good morning, it's nice to be here in person. It feels like a long time since I've done one of these with you live.
Yes.
We started with this program in 2018. We have been at the current rate of $5,000 a year since 2019. That includes 3 rounds of art going up above the luggage bay and 12 performances throughout the year, sort of scheduled in conjunction with holiday travel and spring break travel primarily. And then based on what COVID lets us do. Prices have gone up with the printing, which we do through Office Sign Company. We're paying our artists more, and so I'm asking for an increase to $6,500 to continue the program. For at least 2 years, we'll hold that price.
Any questions for Dana?
It's been a great program. We get a lot of good publicity for it and a lot of good exposure.
It's
So,
been great for us too.
I think the inbound and outbound public that flies enjoys that, and it's unique, and it's refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
My one comment is I love seeing the artwork, but is there another place that we could make it more visible than so far down on baggage claim? I mean, I had to look for it after one of our meetings where we said it was here and I was like,
part of the terminal area expansion and design, that's something that we'll be looking at, other opportunities.
Okay.
Maybe that plus another location, maybe there'd be 2.
Okay.
So,
There's so many opportunities for where it could go and be much more visible.
Mhm.
And so I'm hopeful that as this airport continues to expand, we can build that in.
awesome. Thank you.
So the request is for $6,500 a year for the next 2 years to support art in the airport. Can I get a motion for that?
I make the motion.
Could I have a second?
Captain move.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second. Any conversation or any other questions for Dana at all? Nothing. John? Call.
Cosgrove,
Aye.
Ekman,
Aye.
Capitan,
Aye.
Hingham.
Aye. Thank
Thank
you.
you, thanks.
Thank you so much. Actually, I have one more comment.
Yes.
So the current live music is always outside security. Can we look at, after the expansion is done, having it inside security?
A little tough to get passes to get in beyond the checkpoint. I don't know how we would do that. That's their escort.
Because there's no real central location. I
Okay.
mean, if you put a gate, it'd only be, that area. Usually it's a little disruptive actually for gated houses and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so where they're at right now, everybody has to come by it to get to the checkpoint or in that area.
So that people sitting in the restaurant can hear it, you can hear it downstairs in the car on the time. It does carry through the building, right, so.
All right. I think about like the Minneapolis airport, they have live performers, but they're all inside security. They're in the, the mall
Yeah,
main concourse area.
maybe we'll have one of those someday.
Someday.
Oh,
Let's shoot for that.
All right. Moving on to number 8, authorize attendance for the AAAE National Airport Conference in Orlando. Sean?
We'll go back to 7. So yeah, this is the Russell Hoyt.
Oh, I apologize.
National Airports Conference, so, I may attend that, we do have a board meeting then that we have to reschedule, but, we'll see, there's a couple of committees that I'm on that do meet during that conference, so.
So we do have to approve that for you? Or it's you just gonna?
Authorized attendance, yeah.
So, and I apologize, I got out of order, but I'd like a motion to approve number 8 for attendance by staff.
I so move.
Second.
Captain seconds.
With the motion is second, any other questions, conversation? None? Roll call.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Ekman.
Aye.
Capitan.
Aye.
Hingham.
8, aye. And moving back from 8 to 7, receive terminal area study from you.
Okay, so Mr. Doobie's here, Mr. Scraper, Mr. Stroh, and I think we got some people online here as well. Brandon Halverson's online, probably to share a screen here.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us. Yeah, let me share my screen here. All right, can everybody see that? All right, so yeah, myself, we have some team members online as well. Matt Doobie is in person, as well as John and Jeff and Terry. We're wanted to take this time to give you an update on the where we're at with the preferred concept development. Today we want to just show you some images as a result of our progress, and then get your feedback on it. Keeping in mind that these images you see, they're possibilities, right? We have to go through a collaborative design process. We want your input and your vision, and that would be the next step from this study to the design process is having that collaborative effort to develop designs. So we've taken what we've gathered from stakeholders and you from this point, and just assembled some ideas and possibilities of what it could look like. And then we'll go through those, and then just an update on other things that are happening kind of in the background. We plan to, based on the feedback we get from you, our goal is to present to the public and the community the results of our study and some of these images and the expansion of the preferred concept in September of 2022. We're working on the financial implementation plan. We just had our second workshop yesterday, and we are super close. Everything is looking really good and positive. And we plan on finishing that up at the end of August. And then also in the background, we're also working on our energy audit of the existing building and plan on getting that done September 2022 as well. The results of that will we're looking for and finding opportunities of the existing operation of the building and opportunities for saving energy, and then also what we can do as part of the expansion design as well to create maybe more efficient operations and systems. So that's our plan today. And any questions on that, on what we're covering?
None here, go ahead.
Okay. All right, so preferred concept overview. I'm gonna hand this over to Matt Doobie. He's gonna walk you through some of these. First, I want to give you an overview, just kind of a reminder of where we landed the last time. So this is the existing first floor plan, and then for the expansion, the preferred concept is this blue outline here. So we're doing the addition here. This is first floor, extending the check-in lane and process and then baggage screening, reconfiguring that, and then having more space for outbound baggage management. And then the existing second floor, where checkpoint is currently here. The expansion is this blue outline here. And then we're relocating the checkpoint over to here, which opens us up for concessions. And then we have the gate expansions for 5 gates over here. Four gates extra, but there will be 5 along this expansion. And then adding sensory areas. And then as we were talking about before, in a previous discussion about the arts program, allowing space for, we've already been talking about that, different areas and opportunities, niches within the expansion, highly visible spaces and opportunities to display art. So loved hearing that discussion. And then just as a note here, you have your this kind of purple area here as kind of a receiving or waiting area as people come out and arrive, which makes it more conducive to if you continue performances out in this area here. People will be able to listen and watch that. The idea is maybe having seating areas in a cafe here. So again, that's part of the program, but we are looking at opportunities like that. Very, very cool discussion. So now at this point, I'll turn it over to Matt, and he can go through some of these possibilities that we've come up with. Matt.
All right, thanks, Brandon. Good morning, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity. I might be a little biased, but the design is the best part of any project. But it would be presumptuous, I think, on our part to say that we could design this without your input. So that's my favorite part of any airport design, is that community interaction, the board interaction, how you come to a design idea. But what I wanted to do is kind of pull back the curtain and show you some of the things that we do that you can land on a design. And so, next slide, please. So what we talk about is the things that, what's the kernel of an idea in a community. And the thing I love about regional sized airports is that they rely on the community not only for their use and input, but they're like the first and last impression of any community. So you start looking, well, what makes this community specific? And so you start looking at images and seasonal images and also colors of the earth, topography, geology. I mean, there's just so much that you can use to influence a design idea. Next slide, please. And then also you look at what's some of the key drivers in town. I mean, you have a number of them here. You've got not only technology, you've got agricultural, you've got the higher education. You just have so much of the history of flight here too, that you can draw from texture for design inspiration. So it's rich with inspiration here, and so we can't wait to find out what truly matters to you, but we put these little images together to show you some of the ideas behind this. Next slide, please. So then we started looking at it and we said, okay, well, how do we want to do it? How do we want that first impression to be? This one's going to be unique because from the entrance road, you're going to have that idea of the big front door. And so you say, well, how do I light this? How do you have it as a wayfinding gesture? And then also, how much of the building do you have in glass versus how much is opaque? And so we just did these little studies looking at it in light and how these things come together. And so that's why we're presenting a number of options, just to show you that it's all there for you. Next slide, please. So we did 3 options. The first one was a little bit more straightforward. It's driven by program. It's light and balanced light and making sure that it's nice throughout. It's more rectilinear in approach. So we just said, well, this is an approach. In the foreground, we will have some level of a screen wall or something because we've got some loading docks and things like that. But we want that front door to be highly visible. But this is one that meets all the programmatic needs in a more of a straightforward design approach. Next slide. So this is from the air side. You can see that the long holdroom areas will have 9 total gates. You can see that one end is going to be a really nice piece, and then you've got the concessions area in the center where the old checkpoint was, so you've got a lot of activity throughout. Next slide. All right, so the second one was we looked at a little bit more iconic of an image and also just of how the form is. And so, you can take glass in many directions. You can go vertical, you can go horizontal, and then you just want to make sure you balance that light on the inside and on the out. So we have a number of design tools that can show how much a space is lit at any given minute of any given day in the year. And that's really critical because we're doing this energy analysis, and what you don't want to do is overlight some areas, you've got glare issues or heat gain or too much thermal transfer for cold. So you want to balance this all out. But again, you can just start to see some of these images that can be a little bit more of an iconic form, and you have an iconic form here. I mean, your sloped front right now is very, very unique. So you can see this is from the air side too, kind of pulling up that long, almost a zipper of an idea for light at the top as a clerestory light. Next one. All right, so the third option, again, just looking now at more vertical light, and then how do we slice this up? This one lends itself to easy additions. It's very easy. It's almost in like a centipede in form, in that you can start to add on, infinitely without disrupting a lot of the operations. But, again, this is bringing light in a different fashion, but also having it, these long, deep skylights. Next slide. So from the air side, you can start to see how that rhythm establishes itself as you're moving down, again, with the big form at the end. Lots of gates, but you can see how much light's being brought in. So airports, typically you want to take your big dollars and put it on the inside. They're most expressed by your passengers as opposed to on the outside. So your outside is functional, and you want it to have a form that you love, but it also bring your care and detail to the interior. And so we started looking at some of the color patterns, how you can have lights, how do they hang there, where you have seating, the different types of seating. And so this is a little image board here, was to just give that idea of how you can change scale and space and how you can light it with natural or artificial illumination. Next slide. Again, this is like the renaissance of lighting time right now. You can have light in any form. You can even light spaces and never actually see lights. So it's a lot of fun to play with light there. You can have color changing in light. The critical thing is to get the same temperature of light so that the light feels consistent throughout. And you can also even change the color of light over the course of the day. It's, you know, your circadian rhythms, you know, so they're brighter in the morning, warmer in the evening, so as you're getting ready for, you know, as the evening goes along. So it's just a fun, easy way to really bring a vibrant space together. Next slide. One thing we just looked at here, and this was just in Photoshop, a tool, where we took the existing picture from downstairs right today, and then just changed what the ceiling color was, turned it to white, just so you could get an idea of the small measures that you could dramatically change the space. And I think that one was always interesting to me, just take that color and just it adds the vibrancy of it. Next slide. All right, so now some of our design interior options, big volumes, lots of light, big views, how to curate that experience as you're moving from checkpoint to gate and concessions. And so we started looking at floor finishes, hard surfaces versus soft for acoustic reasons in hold rooms, but just really having a lot of fun looking at that scale. And so to the left of the image is where, if you were coming out of the checkpoint, but that's where the existing building is. And so we're coming out of the checkpoint, and that's your kind of your big moment. And then as you go right to left, you can see it's on a big axial line you can see, so you know we're gonna go all the time. Next. So turning down and facing down, we love to mix in some greenery as well. You know, we feel that, I think science tells us that it's people more comfortable if they have used nature and they just have some of those warm tones. We've got wood and light in the ceiling, but also just having a mixed group of seating types, but making it very easy to navigate without having to rely on signs. Just following through with that, you can start to see that scale of it. It's a radical departure in some respects than what you have right now, just in terms of height of ceiling and amount of transparency. So that's all I have for today. I just wanted to go through some of the possibilities. We can't wait to start design, but I welcome any questions.
Questions from the board about the process?
Mr. Chairman, probably way ahead of myself, but, and I know you're highlighting the addition, but it still kind of looks like two separate buildings to me. They just don't seem, you know, it's like the old airport and the new airport. And maybe that's just, you know, where you are at this point.
I mean, that's a great question. You know, one of the things we'll have to do when we start design is to how do we incorporate them so it feels, you know, holistic. You do it in color, finish, do you change some of the spaces? If you looked at the plan options we have, you know, we're changing some areas, we're gonna look at that FIS. So that's gonna change, you'll be able to tie that in so you have bookended new pieces. But again, that's just part of the process. We will extract from you what's a driver, what matters most. Do you want it to be one unified design? We were just showing some of the options and how you play the scale.
And this I know is way ahead, but you had Microsoft up there, but are we gonna build in any corporate sponsorship opportunities, you know, the Microsoft, whatever, LDEV run, you know, I know that starts to blend the private sector and the public.
Shauna, you can probably answer that better than I, but it's available to you.
Yeah, I guess we haven't really thought much about that. If there's interest in the community to do that.
Well, I just think it's something as we design that we start to think about, is there a sponsorship opportunity? You know, would like to be the sponsor of the baggage claim when people have lost their baggage, you know?
We're working at an airport where the sensory room is sponsored by the Children's Hospital in town. And so we provided a shell for them, but then they came and fit it out, you know, based on their research. And it's, you know, it's a good way for them to do it, to get brand, you know, advertisement there. But it's very tailored, the needs. We've done others for mothers' rooms. I mean, they have many opportunities throughout to do that.
Okay. Well, and the last one is not to just feature the big name brand companies, but part of an entrepreneurial community. And we've we're gonna feature companies, I think we should also feature the new upcoming Did You Know here, type stuff. This, this is controversial, but we continue to wonder if we'll ever have a parking garage. And if, that is into the future, and I don't wanna spend a whole bunch of money in, alternate designs, but how would a parking garage play into these possibilities? And what would that do with the rental cars and everything moving maybe more to the ramp? And is that something that can be built in?
I mean, I'll defer to Jeff on some of this, but yes, we are not really changing, we're moving everything from the curb to airside. So from out there, you still have the opportunity for that long term. Some people move the rental cars into parking structures themselves at the ground floor, so you've got a protected ready lot. But again, those possibilities are still available to you. We're truly not, we're affecting the rental car area right now a bit, but not dramatically, so.
No, I'm thinking more is just that as we do the design, what would it look like? What would a connection to a parking garage look like? Would it be underground? Would it be above ground? Would there be open air? What would be the concept? But we don't want to get to a point where we do this and then say, oh boy, if we ever wanted to add a garage, now we have to do all these different things.
And just to piggyback on that comment, also the protected walkway, whether it's over or under for passengers to get across that traffic space.
That was all designed, we have all of that done. Terry designed that connection a couple of years ago.
Okay,
We can bring out some of that.
so there's an
Detail.
access point.
Yeah,
There
it's
will
right-
be an access
Right
point.
through the straight, between the up and down escalators, there was the whole walkway that was put out right through the flagpoles to a garage.
Okay.
So the design for that is all done.
And we had an internal just brainstorming session on developing ideas for the terminal building here, and one of the things that had come up was just incorporating into this project, it's like whatever would need to be done now, so if the time comes to build the skyway or connection to a parking garage, you just, connect right in from the building, go to the south, so.
Just take
I
the
think
plywood down.
the skywalk was shown, if you could see the screen coming in right here, right? And then it was stepping down. There was a stair descending down. That was the original design coming from the parking ramp.
It's a great idea when we start to develop some design perspectives and massing and all that, is to incorporate those two for your long-term vision.
The last,
I'd also like to add, good morning board, Justin Anderson with Meeting Time. Also like to add too that when we were looking at this initially, we also wanted to consider on Fargo's master plan, there was also a north expansion too. So with that walkway coming into that central vertical circulation core, that is still really going to be the ultimate central part of the terminal. So the checkpoint, that walkway, that vertical circulation core, that's staying in the center in the short term, as well as if that north expansion ever does happen too.
Yeah, we'll send out all the details that the board looked at a couple of years ago on the walkway, the skyway.
my last comment, bringing light in from the roof always seems to bring leaks with it too. I know each time I've been involved in it, they've got the new and improved skylights, and they still leak or they have condensation. So I'm cautious there, and I'm just reminded, please don't turn it into the easy bake oven that they made in Chicago with those gerbil tubes at 100 degrees.
Agreed.
It was awful.
And that's the value of some of the software that we use. You can start to just see where that ambient light is coming in. But you can do surface temperature checks. I mean, because I'm with you on that. I mean, everybody loves sunlight until it brings glare into your eyes and you get eye strain and you can't figure out where you are, or that your mechanical systems are overworking. So we will balance all that, through our software and all our different tools. Skylights, I mean, they're beautiful things and they are getting better, but, they do bring in light. You just have to be mindful about it. There's tricks of the trade that we like to do to make sure that they're not leak proof, but so they exist well in cold climates.
And very similar to what you have with the sloped curtain wall out there. You could do that as well as an alternative. You could have a sloped glazing system up there, so quasi skylight, but it reduces the chance of water and everything just sitting on a skylight.
So next steps beyond this process, the public portion of it?
Brandon, you should probably address that.
Yes. So next steps. So we're taking your feedback, and please feel free to, after this meeting, if thoughts come to you, we certainly want to hear them and address them. And if we need to follow up, we'd be happy to come around and come back and have that discussion. But our plan is to, let me just get back here. All right, so our plan is to take whatever feedback you have and present it to the public and community. So that means, we looking at these images, we can print some of them out and maybe at the airport museum or a proper venue, we can invite the community in to show them the progress that we've made and the vision so far, and answer questions and such. So that would be September. I'm thinking mid to end of September. So that would be the next step for the for kind of the concept development, and pretty much the final step. We want to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row before we roll it out to the community. And then, and then the financial implementation plan is going to fall into place. As I said, that's looking pretty positive, and we'll be giving you an update on that shortly. And then the energy audit. That's about it to wrap up the study. So we're nearing the end here. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
You mentioned that you'll have community input and the board input. When do we have the opportunity to do that this year?
So your input is now in the next. I would ask that you try to reach out to us in the next couple weeks to let us know if there's anything significant, namely what you want us to show the community. Right now, this is as part of our contract. We were asked to do these interior images and renderings, and then the concept development. We went a little above and beyond just to show you, different possibilities of what the exterior could look like. But like Matt and I said, if you don't feel comfortable going to that level yet, and showing those to the community, we can scale that back too. So that's the kind of feedback we'd like to get from you.
And typically with the public, the public involved, or the public information session, what we show there is the forecast. So, what is driving the need for this terminal expansion? Of course, it's the growth that Fargo has experienced. And then we get into, so we'll have a board showing forecasts, and then a board showing the existing constraints of the terminal. So at previous presentations that I mentioned, when we did our site evaluation, where are we noticing these pinch points of the terminal occurring. So we'll have a board of that, and then also a board of what Fargo can look like. So those massing diagrams that we showed when we were going over the various alternatives. Just to give the public a high-level overview of what, like Brandon said, the expansion can look like, and what the future can look like.
Good. Any other questions for me and Hunt?
How would we reach out to you to say, hey, don't forget like the Happy Hooligans, or, I mean, through Sean? Okay, all right.
Good. Any questions from the audience regarding what was presented? Terry, anything? Good. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thanks, and I just asked that whether you reach out to Sean, Aaron, or to get your comments back to us on whatever means. Is that appropriate, Sean, that they come through you with comments? Yeah, and comments or questions. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
And thank you guys.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to number 9, airport construction and security update.
Terry, you wanna go first?
Sure. So things are really going pretty well. They're right on schedule with what they said last time. So they finished up everything that they had on their agenda. So this week they're completing, so they got the foundation done, they're completing backfilling, they're gonna do underground plumbing and electrical this week. And then next week they're gonna pour the slab, they're gonna start some site utilities and possibly start erecting some steel. So it's moving along. So.
That's good. As far as the checkpoint, there's some base for it that's still on back order evidently.
Yeah.
For the floor. The ceiling on the west side, on the north end, I think they might have to redo that. The taper wasn't real good, and then they painted it, so you might wanna maybe go out and take a look at that today.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's nice, a lot of open space, and looks good.
The new machines look great.
Yeah.
Like a jet engine.
Yeah.
So there's just a few tweaks there for the checkpoint, but otherwise it's functional. Jeff?
All right, I got 2 things for you. So we're working on the security access control system, and that's the project where we have to install about 25,000 feet of conduit on the airfield. So they started probably a week and a half ago down here on the South GA, which was actually the most difficult area of the project just because of all the underground utilities, and it's the oldest area on the airfield, so we don't know if like the existing utility maps are completely accurate. They got through that really without incident. And then they worked their way around the south perimeter of them. They're all the way up to roughly around the electrical vault, the air traffic control tower area. They're out of conduit as of right now, and they're supposed to get more sometime the week of August 20th. So we're just kind of on hold there. And then the economy lot, like I said, the storm manholes are supposed to be here Friday. If they come in this week and start removing topsoil, that kind of thing, I have not found that out yet, but it'll really start ramping up next week. I do have some concern, I guess, just because, once they do start, we're, I hate to say it, but we're in the middle of August, and, we're quickly creeping towards fall, and, there's still a lot of work to do, and I don't want it to be a project where it's just slammed in at the end of the year and now quality is sacrificed. So I've asked for Board of States to provide a very detailed schedule from start to freeze up of this year on how they plan to accomplish it all, because obviously we need a lot done this winter when the cloud starts building up. Plus we have to allow time for Blacksburg to come in and install the key operator. So once I get that, I'll provide it to the authority.
So we had a, Jeff, do you know, or Darren, someplace here in the South GA, we had a large void under a storm inlet sewer, so there was a huge cavity under the ramp that we had to fix. Do you remember exactly where it is? Dan, do you know? There's someplace down here by the eye hanger in this jail area. They discovered a large void under the deep. so we had Randall's come in and fix it right. So we lose an airplane in there, but that was one thing that came up last week. As far as, I guess, for other things, Mr. Chairman, we've sent you some health insurance stuff that we didn't have prior to the agenda, and we just got that this week. In fact, there was an update that I got last night from John Heath at Brown & Brown, formerly Hayes Companies, telling us what our renewal increase will be without any changes to the policy, 16.86%. We fell into the highest tier with 144% loss ratio. So we need to make a decision before August 26th on what health insurance options that we want to move forward with the employees. So just kind of review this. So this will be on for our next agenda to do that. And we'll get you some more detailed information if there's any updates from Brown & Brown. I think at a minimum, I'd recommend that we'll match what the city has done. They in fact did it this year for the employees. We're at a 75-25% match. City's at 80-20. I think at a minimum, we want to match that going forward on January 1st. And if there's any other tweaks that they make and then the percentage employee do, we'll probably want to match that. So there are some options as far as lowering that 16.86% to lower increases as you would increase the out-of-pocket that an employee would pay. Now, Joan watched a seminar that they had yesterday, one Friday. I guess they were kind of the same. But I believe they've indicated that as far as increasing the out-of-pocket, it only impacts like 3 to 5% of the employees from there. So maybe we don't hesitate to do that. But take a look at this, and if you got any input, let's be ready for our next meeting to take a look.
Can we also get the comparison from the prior plan, what electives were covered, or what, family maintenance was covered or wasn't covered, and the new plan, what is covered for preventive, so we know what, if there's a benefit there, a substantial difference, that's able to be communicated to the employees as well again. John, questions?
No, it would be helpful, like I said, in the past I've worked on different ones, so I had sort of a feel for the industry, but what are we seeing kind of across the board from other insurance companies? It seems, it seems a big increase for a first year. They came in with a low price, everything was pretty good, but now all of a sudden a year later we're getting slammed with a big increase. Now that may be in keeping with the industry, but I just question if we could have some input as to what we're seeing in other plans and situations.
I can invite Dave Middow maybe to our next meeting. Dave is an insurance guy that we've called on a number of times in the past.
Yeah, and the out-of-pocket, I know, it seems to be an easy lever to pull, but the lower salary, lower paid employees get hit the hardest by increasing out-of-pocket. It's a little regressive in that sense, and it's easy to say 2 to 3% hit that, but it can be devastating in a tough time. And again, I think we have to stand on our own with our coverage. We want it to be separate from Fargo. We have to be competitive, but I don't think we need to be lockstep. What they may be doing, they're reacting to whatever changes and increases that they see. We need to do the same. But almost 17% increase in 1 year is huge. And I did not think that they were going to segregate us into tiers with loss ratios the way they did. The concept was for this pool to be able to reduce costs by having a larger number of participants, and the rule of large numbers to keep this from happening. But they bifurcate the pool into loss ratios and increase. So that kind of works against what the concept was. Just think we need to really take a look at this. It's hard for us to absorb 16.85% in the market that we're in. I'm not sure pushing it to the employees is the way to go.
Any other questions, concerns? Not anything else for the good of the order?
Stacy and Andy Noah are still working on the JP development leases. We have some drafts, but I think there's a little bit of a problem with the new legal description they put together that overlays on an existing legal description, so they're still trying to sort that out. Flight schedules continue to change. American, I think, is reducing capacity coming up here in the fall. They announced a 2 to 3% reduction in flight operations. Delta's done the same. So we'll see where that leads us, but we know that we're gonna lose our 70, 75-seat aircraft, go down to 50-seaters. Coming up, 2 to Dallas, 2 to Chicago, normally they'd have 4 to each of those markets. They just don't have pilots to do that frequency. My fear is that we'll lose the frequency and maybe go to 1 main line a day to Dallas, Chicago, the same with United. I think that's in our future, just losing frequencies, so stay tuned on that. I think at the next meeting as well, we'll talk about increasing the fuel flowage fee. We've been at 2 cents for a number of years. Probably looking at doubling that to 4 cents. And I've been in conversations with Jim Sweeney and the Fargo Jet Center folks about doing that. Maybe effective on January 1st to adjust our fuel flowage fee for the first time in a number of years. The architect RFP, hopefully we'll have that ready next week to begin advertising for architectural services for the terminal expansion. We'll get that done through the form and then have a date that we can set up interviews or select an architect hopefully here in the next couple of months. That's all I have.
That's it. Anything else? Meeting adjourned.